What's up, everyone? And today I'll be predicting the rest of the AFL season for 2024. This year is really remarkable in terms of the ladder, since there's only two games, remarkably, separating Carlton and Hawthorn, which is something that we haven't seen before. So this year is very historical because of that. And this time to do this ladder prediction is a perfect time since there's only 6 rounds left. And yeah, here goes nothing. So first up we have Essendon and Adelaide on this Friday night. So I think there's a possibility that the Crows could win here, but I'll be probably just being a bit delusional. So realistically, I think Essendon will win by 21. GWS and Gold Coast. I think since the Gold Coast away record is horrible, well, even more than horrible, like no wins at all, I reckon GWS should realistically get the job done, you would think, by about 16 points. St Kilda and West Coast, I think St Kilda should get the job done realistically. Hawthorn and Collingwood, this will be probably the most interesting game of the round. And Collingwood are in a real bad form slump, and I think that'll continue. So Hawthorn would win by about 10 points. And Geelong and Bulldogs, I think Geelong will win since they're at home. Port Adelaide should win this, which is a must win for them. Brisbane and Sydney, another huge 50-50 game. I could see either team winning this, but for the home ground advantage, I reckon Brisbane can just get the job done by 2 goals. Fremantle and Melbourne. Oh, this is also another interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if Melbourne would win this. I wouldn't be surprised. So I think Fremantle would win by a couple points. Carlton and North Melbourne, I think, Carlton would win that by about 8 goals. And again, another Carlton game against Port Adelaide. I think, Carlton should win that. Port don't play well away against good teams, especially. Geelong and North Melbourne, let's spice it up a bit. I think North Melbourne would win by 11. Gold Coast and Brisbane, I think Gold Coast will continue their great run at home and win by 20. And St Kilda and Essendon, I think... Oh, this is a tough one. I could see the Saints winning this, but this game is much more important for Essendon to keep their top 8 spot consolidated. So I reckon Essendon will win by another thriller, 4 points. Melbourne and GWS. Again, another real tough game to predict. I'm going to call it a draw, just to spice things up a bit. I think it'll be a draw. Fremantle and West Coast. Fremantle, realistically, should win that. I think by a lot too, 70. Collingwood and Richmond. Collingwood has to win this game. They have to. They have to win this game. Sydney and Western Bulldogs. Sydney will win by quite a lot, actually. This is another tough game. Crows and Hawthorn. I think the Crows, since it's at home, I think should get the job done. But close. 9 points. Western Bulldogs and Melbourne. Round 21. I think the Bulldogs will get the job done since it's at Marvel. West Coast, the Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast will finally win their first away game of the season. and by only just like 1 point, the closest of margins. North Melbourne and Richmond, I think North could win this. It's like their second game in the row that they've won, and leaves Richmond rock bottom once again. Geelong and Crows and Geelong, Collingwood and Carlton. I think Carlton, surely. Port Adelaide and Sydney. I think Sydney too strong for Port. And GWS and Hawthorn. I think GWS, since it's at Canberra. Essendon and Fremantle. Ooh, this is a real tough game. I think Fremantle could win this because I'm not convinced about Essendon. They're very, inconsistent. St Kilda and Brisbane. Sydney and Collingwood on the Friday night, round 22. I think Sydney, and leaves Collingwood in real alarm bells by 40. Brisbane and GWS, probably Brisbane. North Melbourne and West Coast, I think North will win their third game in a row. Can you believe it? Fremantle and Geelong. Fremantle would win this, I think. Yep, realistically. Essendon and Gold Coast, since Gold Coast's away record is, really bad. I think, Essendon should get the job done here. Melbourne and Port Adelaide. And Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne. Carlton and Hawthorn. Ooh. This is actually tough. Probably Carlton. Oh, actually, I think Hawthorn. Richmond and St Kilda. Richmond are no good at Marvel, so the Saints. Another tough one. It's the Crows and the Western Bulldogs. I think very close one, but the Crows would win there. And round 23, Essendon and Sydney. I think Sydney. Gold Coast and Melbourne. Gold Coast will have a perfect home record, remarkably, and they will win this game by quite so much, 48, and storm into the 8. Next up, GWS and Fremantle. Ooh. GWS. Collingwood and Brisbane. Collingwood, just to give them some hope. Like any hope. Sydney and Geelong. Geelong. And then we have the showdown. I think the Crows will win again in the showdown. In a thriller by a goal. Western Bulldogs and North Melbourne. Well, the Bulldogs. Actually, I don't think that much about 4 goals. Hawthorn and Richmond. Hawthorn, should win this by 45, and then 9th. Can you believe it? West Coast and Carlton. Carlton, it's more vital for them. I think percentage boosting win by 80. And the last round, and I'll break down the ladder. So I think up to 7th, Essendon I think has already secured their spot since they have 13.5 wins. anywhere from 8th to possibly Collingwood can make the 8 still. Anywhere from 8th to 13th can still make it. There's 5 teams, or actually 6 teams, in the last round still competing for a spot. Brisbane and Essendon. You would think Brisbane will win this since it's at the Gabba, 6 goals. Carlton and St Kilda. Carlton. Jeez, what an easy game for Geelong. This would really help them. West Coast at home. I reckon 71-point win. Hawthorn and North Melbourne, well, Hawthorn, since they'll be competing for a spot, I reckon Hawthorn by 41, whatever, yeah. Melbourne and Collingwood, doesn't really matter for these two teams. They can't make the 8, so Collingwood to finish their season off with a high. Richmond and Gold Coast. Well, Gold Coast can still make it. I think they'll stuff it up. I reckon they'll stuff it up. Once again, Richmond. Sorry, Gold Coast fans. Sydney. I can't see the Crows winning this at all. Doesn't even matter anyway, so 38-point win. Western Bulldogs and GWS probably GWS because it doesn't really matter for the Bulldogs anyway. Last one, Fremantle and Port Adelaide. Well, Fremantle because it's in Perth. So there we have it. The final ladder. Sydney, Carlton, Fremantle, Geelong, Brisbane, GWS, Essendon and Hawthorn is my predicted final 8 as of the end of round 18. And Collingwood missing out, and the Bulldogs missing out, Melbourne missing out, Port missing out, which are genuinely top 8 contenders as of at the end of round 18. And yeah, that's it. So let's see what happens for the last 6 rounds. And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one. See ya.